The hour was brought to you by KFC Buckets. Let's bucket together with a KFC Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket. Because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Chairman of the JLP's campaign committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says Peter Bunting's approach to crime fighting is misguided.
In criticizing us as a government, he's also technically criticizing the work of the security forces.
And Dr. Tufton says JLP's internal numbers align with recent public polls showing gathering momentum for the party.
The Bank of Jamaica says the country remains on firm economic footing.
For financial year 2025-26, the bank projects that growth will be in a range of 1 to 3%, largely due to the agriculture, mining and tourism sector.
The Education Minister says today's wage negotiation meeting with the JTA was good and honest.
KD Knight files defamation lawsuit against Dr. Christopher Tufton.
In news from the rest of the world, over 100 Cuban teachers to return to Bahamas under new hiring framework.
Israeli Prime Minister says talks will begin to free all hostages.
In headlines sports, Trinidad and Tobago registers crushing 10-wicket defeat over Jamaica in regional under-17 cricket.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, newly installed JTA President Mark Malava declared that Finance Minister Favour Williams disrespected the island's teachers with an offer of 0% in salary increases for the first year of a 3-year cycle. Ministry and the JTA went back to the negotiation table today. Mr. Malava will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should the government abort plans to build new STEAM schools? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the JLP has announced that they'll launch their 2025 election manifesto at a mass rally in Sam Sharp Square, St. James on Sunday.
We're responding to that by ensuring that we meet our commitment of having said to you that we will be sharing our manifesto in a new, creative way.
You'll hear more from the JLP's media briefing on Thursday.
And at 8, it's Jamaican Dads with Dennis Brooks, Garth Williams, Marlon Campbell, and Floyd Green.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, August 21, 2025.
This hour is brought to you by KFC Buckets. Let's bucket together with a KFC Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket. Because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Chairman of the JLP's campaign committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton, has taken the PNP's Peter Bunting to task over his approach to crime fighting and public security. Bunting is quoted as saying the JLP has taken a warrior approach to crime, while the PNP would take a guardian approach. But Dr. Tufton says that mindset reveals why Bunting was unable to break the back of serious crimes during his tenure as security minister. Mahiri Stewart has more in this report.
The governing JLP has emphasized the 43% reduction in murders recorded so far this year. The party credits its investments in infrastructure, intelligence gathering, and security personnel for the dramatic reduction. It's a course the JLP says should be maintained if the country is to realize gains in the security arena. Dr. Tufton says Peter Bunting's approach to crime fighting is misguided.
We believe that the security forces, based on government policy and government support in terms of resources, in terms of additional manpower, upgrading of stations, additional mobility, additional intelligence gathering, have done a commendable job. And the manifestations of that is the significant reduction in serious crimes, well over 40%, 43% to be exact, in terms of murders. And that for us means a safer society and a society where Jamaicans can move about more freely.
The JLP campaign chair accused Bunting of being condescending towards the police, who he says have been doing their best to tackle the country's crime problem. According to Tufton, a strong approach is needed to combat the levels of crime that have plagued the Jamaican society.
Because implicit in what he's saying is that somehow security forces are conducting themselves in a manner that should not be supported. And that's the interpretation, because let's face it, the government prescribes policy, the security forces implement. They are the operational agency of crime fighting. And in criticizing us as a government, he's also technically criticizing the work of the security forces.
The JLP campaign chair criticized Bunting's track record as security minister, pointing to the now infamous plea he made for divine intervention. According to Dr. Tufton, the JLP has not only relied on the divine, but it has also put in the work to achieve results.
Sometimes it does take a warrior mentality to respond, and to respond within a context, not to disregard human rights, as some would want to claim, but to respond in a way that will recognize the seriousness of these crimes and why it is important to assert yourself as a state, as a police force supported by the army, and indeed by all of us, in order to face down the criminals and the criminality that has been taking place.
Dr. Tufton urged voters to stick with the JLP as the proven party that can deliver reductions in serious crimes. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Tufton says the JLP's internal numbers align with recent public polls showing the party gathering momentum heading into the September 3 general election.
We have observed those polls, and I'll only comment by saying, based on all the polls that we have seen and those that we have conducted internally, we are comfortable that the Jamaica Labour Party has the momentum going into these elections on September 3rd, and that's a comfortable position to be in.
Recent public opinion polls show the JLP has closed the gap with the PNP on party standings. The JLP has been steadily gaining ground in the polls since February this year. The opposition PNP has shown consistent declines, falling from a high of a nearly 10-point lead in those polls. Dr. Tufton says, while the poll numbers are favorable, the party is not being complacent.
It's not a reason to become arrogant. It's not a reason to feel, as some may be tempted to do, that somehow it is over. That's not our position at all. Our position is we will continue to work harder for the support of the Jamaican people in order to secure a third term, because we believe that the Jamaica Labour Party is the best party at this time to move the country forward.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, JLP campaign chair, he was speaking at a campaign media briefing on Thursday.
The governing Jamaica Labour Party will launch its 2025 election manifesto on Sunday, August 24, at a mass rally in Sam Sharp Square in Montego Bay, St. James. The manifesto is dubbed, quote, "I Choose Jamaica, the Next Chapter," end quote. Chairman of the JLP's Manifesto Committee, Kamina Johnson-Smith, says it's the first time an election manifesto will be launched outside of Kingston.
I Choose Jamaica, the Next Chapter, will be launched for the first time out of Kingston. No manifesto has ever been launched outside of Kingston, nor has one ever been launched at a mass rally, and it will be launched at Sam Sharp Square at our mass rally on Sunday, the 24th at 4 p.m. So we really want to encourage you to come out. We want to see you there. We think we'll have an exciting presentation for you.
Johnson Smith notes that the use of a mass rally to launch the manifesto is based on the JLP's mission to bring policies to the people.
We wanted to make sure that in the same innovative way that we launched our achievements, bringing it to the people, not a closed door room with men in grey suits and limited into hotel access, but one which widely engaged with people who might not normally engage with the political process and beyond. Taking it out of Kingston was also very important to us because you always hear in rural Jamaica that Kingston is not Jamaica. There's always an interest in us making sure that policies go beyond the urban. We must not only speak about it, but we must do it and demonstrate our commitment to doing more differently and in this way.
Kamina Johnson-Smith, chairman of the JLP's Manifesto and Achievements Committee. She was speaking at a JLP media briefing on Thursday at the party's headquarters.
The Bank of Jamaica BOJ remains bullish about the Jamaican economy and the country's fiscal health. The central bank is anticipating continued economic expansion in the short and medium term. Addressing the bank's quarterly media briefing on Thursday, BOJ Governor Richard Biles says the country remains on firm footing. He's also expecting increased growth in the third quarter of 2025, as the Planning Institute did earlier this week. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Despite considerable uncertainty in the global market, Governor Biles says the country's macroeconomic fundamentals remain well anchored. Addressing Thursday's quarterly briefing, he says inflation, which is currently below the target range of 4 to 6%, is expected to return to normal in the coming months.
Against this background, the outlook is for inflation in Jamaica to generally remain below the lower end of the inflation target over the next few months, but to return to the 4 to 6% corridor over the next 2 years. As I noted earlier, the projected lower end breaches will mainly reflect the temporary impact of improved agricultural supplies following the shock of the agricultural sector in 2024, as well as lower electricity costs resulting from the reduction in GCT on electricity consumption.
In terms of other macroeconomic fundamentals, Governor Biles again noted improvements in the country's gross domestic product, GDP, and foreign exchange reserves. The country's net international reserves, NIR, currently sit at a record high of $6.2 billion. That's more than 140% higher than what is needed by global standards.
The current account of Jamaica's balance of payments is also projected to remain in surplus over the near term, and the international reserves are projected to improve further. In relation to GDP growth, Bank of Jamaica estimates that the domestic economy grew in a range of 1 to 2% for the June 2025 quarter due to expansion in most industries.
Governor Biles noted that economic growth will be driven by gains in tourism, agriculture, and mining.
Economic activity is projected to continue to expand in the September 2025 quarter. And for financial year 2025-26, the bank projects that growth will be in a range of 1 to 3%, largely due to the agriculture, mining, and tourism sectors. Subsequently, growth is forecast to normalize in a range of 1 to 2%. Employment levels also remain high, even as anecdotal data suggests that wage pressures are moderate.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the BOJ governor is anticipating further relief for consumers in terms of commercial bank interest rates by the fourth quarter of 2025.
When we look at rates in an aggregate way, we did see some dip in rates, both on the deposit side and on the lending side. So if that is the beginning of a gentle trend downwards, then we are very appreciative of that. But we are in a market economy, and we do have a situation where the financial sector has two dominant players. And to the extent there is not further competition, then you will find that market is not driven entirely by competitive impulses. But that is one of the key issues that the Monetary Policy Commission has said to us we need to do all we can to fix.
Richard Biles says in the long term, the BOJ is considering policy initiatives to address the issue. But he adds that the BOJ expects to see further downward reductions in the coming months following discussions with banks.
What can we do? there's no short-term solution to trying to get the banks to reduce interest rates. The banks have said to us, we have some issues that we have to resolve in order to make our rates come down more quickly. Some of those issues have nothing to do with us, and our recommendation to them is please address those issues as quickly and as strongly as you can, because we do want rates to come down somewhat. I believe and I'm hoping that in the last quarter of this year, we will get relief on the exchange rate side.
Richard Biles, Governor of the Bank of Jamaica.
In the race to 32, facts matter. Did you know that PNP President Norman Manley failed to win a seat in the 1944 general election? Yes, that's a fact. In the general election held on December 12, 1944, the PNP's leader, Norman Washington Manley, running in eastern St. Andrew, polled 4,858 votes. Manley fell 395 votes short of the number cast for the winner, the JLP's Edward Fagan. There were two other candidates in that race, including a Gerald Mayer, who received 3,135 votes, running for the Jamaica Democratic Party. While Norman Manley lost his seat, the JLP's leader, Alexander Bustamante, won his seat in Western Kingston, beating the PNP's Ken Hill by over 6,000 votes. This nationwide Did You Know fact is part of our coverage for the race to 32 as we preview the next general election.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 32 in Montego Bay.
Registered voters, do you know where to vote on Election Day? To find out, you may call our toll-free number at 888-991-VOTE. That's 888-991-8683. Or visit our website at ecj.com.jm. Select Query Voters List and enter the required information. Free and fair elections. It's up to you. That was an important announcement from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
KFC this summer, we a bucket together. All a vibe with your crew, yeah, we a stay true, the taste is so good. KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we a world champion. All we connect with the KFC. Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we a bucket together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good. KFC.
Continuing the news, good and honest. That's how Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon is describing Thursday's wage negotiations with the Jamaica Teachers Association and the Ministry of Finance.
I thought it was a very good meeting, and there was a lot of honesty in the meetings, and that's what you want when you're at an impasse like this. And that was very appreciated on all sides. And the Ministry of Finance gave their presentation, and the unions also gave their presentation and spoke to some of the issues they've had in terms of the entire process. We also had a presentation from Keith Duncan, who leads the advisory committee for the Fiscal Commission, and he looked at the fiscal numbers and the environment within which the wage negotiations is actually taking place.
Representatives from the Ministry of Education, the opposition, unions, and civil society were also involved in Thursday's meeting. It followed a previous one held last week. The JTA walked out of that meeting over what it described as a disrespectful wage offer by the government. Minister Morris-Dixon says future meetings will be held as soon as next week in order to further discussions about wages.
And I believe that we were able to leave with an understanding of the next steps. And the key thing is that we're going to be moving forward with mutual respect on all sides, and we will be honest as we move forward. And so I'm very happy that there will be other meetings have been scheduled as close as next week to move the process forward. And I want to thank the partners, the National Partnership Committee, which has membership from civil society, has membership from academia, the unions, the private sector, government and opposition, for being there in the meeting today, because I think we were able to actually hammer out a lot of the concerns and create a framework for moving forward.
Senator, that's Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education.
Former Senator, King's Counsel K.D. Knight, has filed a lawsuit against JLP campaign chairman Dr. Christopher Tufton for allegedly defaming him. The lawsuit was filed in the Supreme Court on Wednesday by attorneys from Knight's law firm, Knight Jr. and Samuels. Robian Williams reports.
The defamation lawsuit stems from an audio recording played at the JLP's mass rally in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew on Sunday, August 10. Dr. Christopher Tufton played the recording in which a voice alleged to be K.D. Knight's is heard saying PNP President Mark Golding is unfit to be Prime Minister of Jamaica. It has since emerged that the recording was altered and spliced to take Knight's original comments out of context. He did not himself suggest Golding was unfit, but was conveying a view he said existed. In court documents obtained by our news team, they state that Dr. Tufton falsely, recklessly, maliciously, and or without a reasonable or probable cause, published and or caused to be published a manipulated audio recording. It states that the manipulated recording was then broadcast by several media outlets and shared across multiple social media platforms. The claim notes that the recording was wholly false and malicious in that the claimant has never said those words in such context and in such order in any forum, either privately or publicly. The claim says Dr. Tufton, having caused to be published and or published defamatory statements at the JLP mass rally, was reckless and or careless without considering or caring whether it be true or not. It says the public was deliberately misled by the recording. The claim states that Dr. Tufton did not do all that was reasonably necessary to ascertain the authenticity or truth of the recording before playing it. Dr. Tufton is being accused of seeking to gain a political advantage for himself and his party in the upcoming general election. An August 15 deadline was given for Dr. Tufton to issue a public apology and retraction. The claim acknowledges that even after Dr. Tufton was written to, informing him of the contents of the original audio recording, he failed to use the opportunity to issue an apology and retraction. Knight's attorneys say Dr. Tufton willfully, maliciously, and recklessly persisted in maintaining his position. Knight is seeking damages for defamation, including exemplary and aggravated damages, vindicatory damages, and costs, among other things. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
This is a Nationwide Election Nugget.
Ever wondered why the media and political analysts always use the phrase first general elections since universal adult suffrage in 1944? Well, that's because history shows that the very first general election held in Jamaica was in December 1663. For that election, the voters' list was comprised of approximately 300 white men, drawn from a population of about 6,000 white males and females. Back in 1663, only those who were male, white, over the age of 21, and who owned a property worth not less than £10 sterling, or who paid a certain amount in taxes, were eligible to vote.
That was a Nationwide Election Nugget.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Some 110 Cuban teachers are expected to return to Bahamian classrooms next week under a revised hiring system. The system was adopted by the Bahamas government after the U.S. warned about its previous recruitment arrangements with Cuba's capital. The country's education director confirmed that teachers whose contracts remain active will resume their posts. However, the director noted that others will not return as their agreements have expired.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he has instructed negotiations to begin for the release of all remaining hostages. He says the negotiations will also target an end to the war in Gaza on terms acceptable to Israel. Netanyahu told Israeli troops on Thursday that his cabinet also approved plans for a massive assault on Gaza City in the north of the territory. This despite widespread international and domestic opposition.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Chairman of the Jail Peace Campaign Committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says Peter Bunting's approach to crime fighting is misguided.
JLP says recent poll findings align with its internal numbers, showing gathering momentum for the party.
The Bank of Jamaica says the country remains on firm economic footing.
KD Knight files defamation lawsuit against Dr. Christopher Tufton.
I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
So we say vote for Labour. Vote for Labour. To Jamaica. We say vote for Labour.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Trinidad and Tobago registered a commanding 10-wicket victory over Jamaica in their West Indies Rising Stars Under 17 regional two-day championship encounter at Kufa. Set a target of 34 for victory. Trinidad coasted as openers Salim Khan 19 and Christian Lal 12 took them home. Jamaica led by an opening stand of 80 between captain Tyson Gordon Jr. 41 and Mario Hall 47 made 122 for 9 in their second innings. Scores in the game: Trinidad and Tobago 233 and 34, Jamaica 142 and 122. It was Jamaica's second defeat at the tournament following a 2-run loss to Barbados and a draw against the Leeward Islands. Jamaica will next be in action on Sunday. They'll take on the Windward Islands at the Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain. Barbados also won on Thursday. They beat the Windwards by 10 wickets while the Leewards pulled off an 8-wicket success over Guyana. Jamaican international football player Leon Bailey has suffered a suspected myotonia tear of his right rectus femoris, or in simple terms, a slight tear of the quad, during his first training session with Italian Serie A side AS Roma on Wednesday. The club released a statement after tests were done on the player on Thursday in Rome. Bailey is scheduled to undergo further diagnostic tests in a few hours to establish the precise extent of the injury. In the meantime, Bailey has already begun rehabilitation treatment at the Fulvio Bernardini Sports Center in Rome. The injury could sideline the player for at least 3 weeks, which would see him missing the season opener against Bologna at the weekend. Barcelona youngster Ibrahim Diarra was ruled out of the whole of the preseason last month with the same injury. The 28-year-old Bailey could sign for Roma permanently next summer, as they hold an option to buy the player for around £19 million. Villa will receive a loan fee of roughly £2.5 million. taking the total potential value of the deal to £22 million. World and the multiple world and Olympic medalist Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is amongst the Jamaicans down to compete at the Brussels Diamond League meeting in Belgium on Friday. Fraser-Pryce, who will be attending her last major global championships in Japan next month, will clash with the fastest woman in the world this year, the American star Melissa Jefferson Wooden, in a 100 meters, which also brings together the reigning world champion Sha'Carri Richardson and the Brit Daryl Nita. The other Jamaicans in action, Shanika Ricketts and Akeelia Smith, both will go in the women's triple jump. The meet is set to get underway at 1:04 Jamaica time. Chairman of the Jamaica Racing Commission, Clovis Metcalf, says the appeal by veteran jockey Philip Parchment against the 25 race day ban hung on whether the act was deliberate. Parchment was handed a suspension by the racing stewards on August 12 for the intimidation and interference caused to Linguist and Danker aboard Wayne's Cherry Links on August 2. The suspension was due to commence on August 30. The appeal was heard on Wednesday and the suspension was reduced to 6 days. Metcalf told Nationwide Sports that the JRC racing commissioners were left with no choice but to reduce the suspension as they could not say conclusively that the act was deliberate as the stewards had charged.
We couldn't determine, as the stewards had indicated, that the action was deliberate or intentional. The stewards were of the view that it was premeditated and that it was deliberate. We couldn't detect that. So, and that was the most critical part. If it was deliberate, then the sentence would stay. But we have to err on the side of caution and give him the benefit of the doubt.
And Metcalf says the stewards were well within the rules when they dished out the 25 race day ban once they believed the act was deliberate. Only that on appeal, it was not in the case of the commissioners.
If they determine that it was deliberate, and they are not the only ones, because I've got other views that say it was deliberate, then they have a right to give him the 25 days.
That's Chairman of the Jamaica Racing Commission, Clovis Metcalf.
This is Nationwide's World Championships Countdown.
So we've got 23 days to go before the World Championships in Tokyo, Japan. The local organizing committee for the World Athletics Race Walking Team Championships Brasilia 2026 was unveiled at the event logo, which captures the energy, color, and landscapes of the host city. The logo for the championship features some of Brazilia's most iconic landmarks, including the Metropolitan Cathedral, the National Congress Building, and the Juscelino Kubitschek Bridge, all pictured in Brazil's unmistakable colors, green, yellow, and blue. The World Athletics Race Walking Team Championships Brasilia 26, which has been organized by CBAT with support from the government of federal districts, will take place April 12, 2026.
That was Nationwide's World Championship Countdown.
And that will do it for sports. We're going to be back, though, with much more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:32.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's the same in the western city, Montego Bay.
You can still go through quicker and cheaper with a T-tag under the new toll rate structure. Effective August 23, there will be some changes to the toll rates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards, and Maypen toll plazas. But don't worry, with a T-tag, all Class 1 and Class 2 customers will enjoy discounted rates for every single passage. Plus, your 10th weekly trip through the same toll plaza is free. Visit transjamhighways.com for details. Get your T-tag today from any manually operated toll booth on Transjam Highways.
Stay ahead in your career with UWI-STAR, the short-term advancement resource center. Our programs are designed to support your professional growth. Join our community of professionals and take the next step in your career. Visit our website, www.mona.uwi.edu/short-courses to learn more about the continuing professional education programs of UWI-STAR.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Transforming care across the nation. The Jamaica Labour Party is doing more for your health. We've expanded NHF benefits and filled over 3 million prescriptions. Free checks and new subsidies for tests. We're making care more accessible. Plus, 138 health centers repaired and major hospitals under construction. Choose a healthier Jamaica. Put your X beside the bell.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
A+ for back to school? Yep, you can score that. Just grab an A+ back to school loan from Access Financial. Why? Reduced interest rates, duh. Plus, you could win your loan interest-free.
That's right. Apply for an A+ back to school loan and you could be entered to win your loan interest-free in the Lucky Loans promotion.
From school fees to footwear, uniforms to book lists, we've got you covered.
For back to school, the only thing you need is a reduced rate loan from Access Financial's A+ back to school promotion. Conditions apply.
KFC this summer, we are bucket together. All I vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good. KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion. All of we connect with the KFC. Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucket together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good. KFC.
If a hurricane mash up your house tomorrow, would your insurance fully cover it? Many Jamaicans are underinsured and don't even know it. One hurricane and they could be paying millions out of pocket. BCIC's free property valuation tool is here to help everyone update their home's rebuilding cost. Plus, when you update your sum insured with BCIC, you'll get $5 million in free contents insurance and up to 12 months to pay. Visit bciconline.com.
You can still go through quicker and cheaper with a T-tag under the new toll rate structure. Effective August 23, there will be some changes to the toll rates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards, and Maypen toll plazas. But don't worry, with a T-tag, all Class 1 and Class 2 customers will enjoy discounted rates for every single passage. Plus, your 10th weekly trip through the same toll plaza is free. Visit transjamhighways.com for details. Get your T-tag today from any manually operated toll booth on Transjam Highways.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It is 5:37. Welcome to The Cover Story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Siobhan, and good afternoon to our listeners. How are you this afternoon?
Doing quite well. It's been an interesting day, interesting week, and about to become an even interesting more month with September 3 coming close.
Indeed. Well, listeners, for the cover story this afternoon, newly installed President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA, Mark Malava, recently declared that Finance Minister Favour Williams disrespected the island's teachers with an offer of 0% in salary increases for the first year of a 3-year cycle. In a strident remark, in strident remarks, the new JTA president reminded the minister that 0% increase would make it impossible for teachers to buy even a Probox motor car.
Representatives of the JTA walked out of a meeting with officials from the Finance Ministry last week. In his first speech as president, Mark Malava pulled no punches. He says the government is not doing enough to settle the teachers' dissatisfaction over wages. In the meantime, a meeting was held on Thursday with the JTA and the Ministries of Finance and Education.
On Wednesday, Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon said the government is committed to finalizing an offer.
We will have the unions there, we will have civil society there, we'll have government and opposition has been invited to it. So this is serious. We are serious about getting to you the best offer possible.
That's Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon. She's the Education Minister. Well, the JTA President now joins us. Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Malava, are you there, sir?
Are you hearing me?
Barely. I think we're going to have to reconnect with you there. So we'll try to get contact with you again, Mr. Malava, try to get a better connection.
No problem.
So it's an interesting way that we've started these wage negotiations. I know they've been winding up, and it's a very interesting time for us to be having these negotiations so close to a general election. It would mean that dependent on how the election goes, it might not necessarily be the same administration that continues the talks when the polls are closed come September 3. But regardless, it is something that has to be done. It is necessary in order for us to secure the next wage cycle. But I don't know. In a country that grows by 1 to 3% annually, what kind of wage deal would one reasonably expect to be able to be offered to the civil service under the same constraints where there is an expectation that wages must remain within a certain level comparative to the country's gross output?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I know the teachers, typically they don't play their cards, so they don't normally tell us what percentage increase they're looking for. But it would be really good to hear from Mr. Malava to see, what are some of the things that they're expecting from the ministry in this round of negotiation.
Well, we're still trying to contact the JTA president, but in the meantime, I'm actually very curious. Was it really a 0% offer? Because that sounds quite misleading. 0% as in there'll be no increase in their salary for the first year? Or is there more to the offer that is not being explained to the general public? Because I find it strange that it would be a 0% offer as is.
Yeah, I found that very strange also, Siobhan, and it would be interesting to hear also from the ministry to break it down for us, the offer that was presented and to match against what is in the public domain.
And it should also be considered, remember, this is essentially immediately after the reclassification and re-engineering, so to speak, of the civil service in terms of emoluments, where there was essentially a massive increase to across the board, across the public sector. But as expected, there is still the need to negotiate in the future in terms of what that salary will look like. And I do hope that both sides go into this with an understanding that there has to be a give and take. It cannot be that both sides come out essentially with everything they want that they went into that negotiation in terms of a salary package or any other gains or losses made during that period of negotiation. That's why it's called a negotiation. It shouldn't be, well, they're going to give us 20% and it's take it or leave it.
I was actually surprised at the posture of the JTA at such an early stage of the negotiation where they walked out on a meeting with the Minister of Finance. That was surprising to me, given that they're really at the start of the negotiation process. Why a walkout was led at such an early stage?
And then there's the other matter to consider, Sanjay. If you recall, the JTA is currently in a judicial battle in terms of with its future president-elect in terms of the former wage negotiation agreement. So does that jeopardize any talks that are being had now in terms of going forward? But I understand we now have Mr. Malava back. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Sorry about that.
Good afternoon. We can hear you loud and clear now. So, Mr. Malava, as I said, I want to have an understanding. The first offer that was given to the JTA that essentially rejected flatly, it was a 0% in salary increases for the first year of a 3-year cycle. Please give me an understanding of what that means.
It was actually 0% in year 1, 2.5 in year 2, 2.5 in year 3, and 2.5 in year 4, making that a total of 7.5% over 4 years.
And you found that to be unreasonable, just the fact that there would be no increase for the first year.
Indeed, and you can look at it from various standpoints. Standpoint number one, that would be below inflation. And as a matter of fact, all the 2.5s would also be below projected inflation over the years to come. In addition to that, in the last compensation restructuring exercise, the government used a report that is popularly known in public sector as the Ernst & Young report.
Yes.
That report evaluated the teachers at band 6. Instead, the government decided to put us on band 4. The difference between band 6 and band 4 is essentially $1.2 million annually. That's $75,000 extra after tax per month. That is how much the teachers were undervalued in terms of payment. There was commitment, however, coming over from that compensation restructuring exercise that the matter would have been revisited in the next cycle. We would have submitted a list of claims, 27 items on the list of claims. And so why the items does not include salaries. It includes various things that we believe would advance the education system. Things, for example, in terms of minimum standards, minimum standards in our schools. Things, for example, in terms of safety and security for our students and our teachers. In things as it relates to, for example, the issue as it relates to remote inducement allowance. So it was a wide it was a vast number of items, 27 items, but these items were anchored in research, best practices, and widespread consultation with our members. We submitted those list of claims, and it was a far cry from what we would have we were expecting.
What were you expecting, Mr. Malava?
Well, I don't want to get into that because it's a negotiation, but we would have submitted a list of claims. That list of claims include percentage increases that we were proposing. That list of claims included various things, various items, for example, in terms of rebanding, looking at the trained graduates and where the trained graduates are really supposed to be situated in keeping with the recommendations of the Ernst & Young report. We would have also looked at the Orlando Patterson report and the recommendations that were coming out of the Orlando Patterson report. 2021 IDB reports on education as well. Those were some key reports that we examined, and we submitted those list of claims in terms of key recommendations that were being made by these reports. But we believe would have advanced the education system collectively.
But would it be a case then that this was a matter that essentially pivoted on the salary itself, or was it that the government was also unwilling to move on, as you said, many of those non-salaried issues?
The government was put it this way. We submitted 27 items. The government rejected 24 of those items. The other 3 items was a counter offer of the 2.5 and a couple other that essentially referred to the Ministry of Education for them to look into.
Okay, please stay with us, Mr. Malava. We're up on a break, but when you come back, I would like to hear, as you understand it, what was the government's counter in terms of their reasoning as to why they would not move on some of these concerns.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:47.
Bird Shack Fried Chicken Summer Vibes promotion. Spend $1,000 or more at any store this August and win weekly prizes of JBL speakers or earbuds, plus a grand prize of a 50-inch smart TV. Bird Shack Fried Chicken.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston. It's the same out west in Montego Bay.
GPS! Keep it cool, keep it cool. Summertime hot, but we have all the tools. Keep it cool.
cool, I keep you cool. Enough ways to see it, you just have to choose. Stay out of the fridge, just use a igloo. Remember your Kisco ice and the juice.
The fan AC combo, yeah, I hit that. AC for a bit, then a fan after that. Keep it cool, I keep it cool.
This summer JPS have all the tools.
Keep you cool with JPS. Download the JPS app today.
Home is closer than you think when you save towards your dream home with the Home Owner's Savings Plan, or HOSP, from CIBC Caribbean. With HOSP, you unlock preferential interest rates to earn more interest on your savings and pay less with a discounted mortgage rate. You can even borrow up to an additional US $5,000 or its equivalent to help you with your closing costs. Get home faster when you save the HOSP way with CIBC.
KFC this summer, we are bucking together.
All a vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good.
KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion.
All of we connect with the KFC.
Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucking together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good. KFC.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy, for everything solar.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
All roads lead to the JLP Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. at Sam Sharp Square. Come hear from JLP champions Dr. Horace Chang, Ed Bartlett, Darrell Vaz, Dr. Christopton, Floyd Green, Homer Davis, Marlene Malahoo Ford, Heroy Clark, Fable Williams, Camina Johnson Smith, and others. Main address comes from Prime Minister and Party Leader Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Jamaica Labour Party doing more for you. Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. Sam Sharp Square. We choose Jamaica. X beside the bell. See you there.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking wage negotiations with the newly installed JTA president. That's Mark Malaba. So, Mr. Malaba, as I said, I really would like to get what you understood to be the government's counterpoint to much of what you discussed with us in terms of their explanation as to where they are coming from in terms of their wage offer.
Well, I am in no position to tell you what is their counterpoint. I am just able to go off with their response to our claims. All we saw on those lists, on that list of claims, is not supported, not supported, not supported. I saw not supported until my eyes dazzled.
So they gave no rationale or explanation as to why this would not be supported?
No rationale was given as to why it was not supported. There were some items, for example, that we were so flabbergasted as to why would it be that they would not support some basic things. Let's look, for example, at remote inducement. This is an allowance that tends to be paid to teachers that are working in deep, remote rural areas or in schools that are located in tough inner-city communities. They have seen the government in the last compensation restructuring exercise. They grandfathered it. The IDB report on education and the 2021 IDB report on education and the Orlando Patterson report recommended that this allowance be expanded because it was what was used to attract teachers into those we call them hard to serve schools because of location. Yeah? The government indicated that this is not supported. So here's what is happening now. What is happening. Because it is being grandfathered, teachers who were working there at the time when it was grandfathered, they would be paid it. But the teachers who were coming in they would not be paid that allowance. The conditions that all the teachers are experiencing, however, remains the same. So we were flabbergasted as to why is it that the government would not support it. Another point, for example, we asked for a review of the master teacher program, in terms of the processes that are involved for someone to get master teacher status. They indicated to us that it is not supported. Yeah. I give you another one, for example, and not to necessarily take tails out of school, but a teacher. If you have a master's in the education system, when we're talking about education, having a master's is something that is encouraged, because when you have a master's, it is deemed that your pedagogy should improve. So the quality of your delivery in terms of student engagement should improve. As it is now, teachers only get somewhere around $4,800 in terms of their master's allowance. $4,800. Yeah? But on the other hand, when you look at students in PATH, for example, they get $5,800 per month for PATH lunch.
But you're at the table, though, and you are currently at the table with the minister. And you had that opportunity to question the ministry as to why. Why is it that these proposals were rejected? And what was the response from the ministry?
We have the answers were not forthcoming in the way that we wanted them to. Yeah, because
so is it that they answered, but not what you wanted to hear? Because initially, when we asked, you had indicated that you don't know why they were rejected.
Yeah, but so what came down on the document, for example, is not supported. When we pressed them in the meeting, if my memory serves me right, the answers that were given were not, in our view, compelling to justify why it is that they do.
So on all the terms then, on all the terms, they would have explained why, but it's just that you or the JTA on a whole, you're not satisfied with the response provided by the ministry.
They would have given a response. The response, in our view, was not in keeping with the best practices that are out there. The responses, in our view, were not.
But Mr. Malava, that's rather disingenuous to now suggest to me that No, Mr. Malava, I have to say this, because at first I asked you what the response was, and you said there was no response. And now, Mr. Malava, you're giving me a completely different statement. That is unreasonable, Mr. Malava, and it was very disingenuous. I will allow you to finish the point if you accept that point, Mr. Malava. I asked you this question and you said...
And a predicate. I am still in the predicate.
No, Mr. Malava, when I asked you the initial question, you gave me a straight answer to say that there was no response beyond saying not supported.
We're going to allow you to finish the point, Mr. Malava, but we had to point that out because initially the impression was given that you received no response at all from the ministry. But for whatever, let's allow you to finish the point that you were making.
I have said to you, the response that we got on paper said not supported. That's what I said to you. I also said to you, when we went back to the meeting, they advanced certain arguments. And in our view, they were not aligned to best practices. They were not aligned to the best interest of the education system. That's what I'm saying to you.
So it is that they responded, but you were not satisfied with the response given?
Pretty much.
But isn't that the process of a negotiation, Mr. Malava, that you're not initially going to be satisfied with the response, and that is why we go back to the bargain table?
Yes, that is exactly what happened. You go back to the negotiating table, and we negotiate.
So let me ask you though, Mr. Malava, what would have caused you to lead that walkout on the minister and ministry officials when you went back to the table?
Thank you very much. So let me put that in context again. We the last time we went back to the negotiation table after rejecting the initial response from the government. We went back to the negotiation table. We had widespread discussion and we deliberated on many of the items. we were promised that meeting was led by State Minister Main. After that meeting, we were promised that we would have gotten an improved offer and that they would have gotten back to us within 4 to 6 weeks' time. More than a month had passed, almost 2 months had passed. We did not hear anything from the ministry. We wrote to the ministry to say we want to continue negotiations. The minister subsequently responded to us to not commit to a date or time, but that they acknowledge our request and they are looking into the matter. We pressed the minister some more and to say to them, we are interested because the time has long expired. Yeah? No, remember, they promised to get back to us. They did not. We had to initiate conversations with them. We wrote again. They responded a third time, and we wrote a third item to say, we are demanding a meeting to advance negotiations. All our correspondence indicated as a heading advancement of negotiation. We went into that meeting to have negotiations, expecting that in keeping with the promises that are the commitment that was made, that we would have received an improved offer. When we went into that meeting, it was said to us that, well, let me even back up. The minister proceeded to advance the argument about increment. She proceeded to advance various other arguments. And when she was completed, we indicated, when she was completed, she said that it's basically not a negotiation meeting. That's what the minister basically said.
The minister said that? Those are the exact words of the minister?
Not exact, but that's what she said.
So what was the purpose of the meeting as outlined by the minister?
It was indicated to us that we had requested a meeting and she's facilitating the meeting to hear what we had to say. We said, no, minister, we are here for negotiations.
Let me ask you quickly, though, before you go, because some critics say your combative approach towards the government may be influenced by your past ties to the PNP, where you once vied to be a candidate for Member of Parliament. How do you respond to those who question whether your stance is more political than it is about the teachers?
No, I reject that. As the president of the JTA, the president are non-partisan. The JTA is a non-partisan organization. However, here's where I am. The JTA consists of a diverse group of individuals drawn from across the widest cross-section of Jamaica. When I step out to represent, I represent teachers. This is not about politics. This is about advancing the interests of the teachers, 25,000 teachers across the island. That is what it is. And I made reference to that argument in my inaugural speech where I said, regardless of the political party, my representation will be fierce in the defense of our teachers. And that's where I'm at.
Well, that is JTA President Mike Malava. Thank you for joining us, sir. We hope to speak to you again after this matter, because I'm sure this will not go out of the public domain anytime soon. Thank you. Mark Malava. The headlines are next, listeners.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The hour was brought to you by KFC Buckets. Let's bucket together with a KFC Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket. Because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Chairman of the JLP's campaign committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton, has taken the PNP's Peter Bunting to task over his approach to crime fighting and public security. Bunting is quoted as saying the JLP has taken a warrior approach to crime, while the PNP would take a guardian approach. But Dr. Tufton says that mindset reveals why Bunting was unable to break the back of serious crimes during his tenure as a security minister.
We believe that the security forces, based on government policy and government support in terms of resources, in terms of additional manpower, upgrading of stations, additional mobility, additional intelligence gathering, have done a commendable job. And the manifestations of that is the significant reduction in serious crimes, well over 40%, 43% to be exact, in terms of murders. And that for us means a safer society and a society where Jamaicans can move about more freely.
The JLP campaign chair accused Bunting of being condescending towards the police, who he says have been doing their best to tackle the country's crime problem. According to Tufton, a strong approach is needed to combat the levels of crime that have plagued the Jamaican society.
Because implicit in what he's saying is that somehow security forces are conducting themselves in a manner that should not be supported. And that's the interpretation, because let's face it, the government prescribes policy, the security forces implement. They are the operational agency of crime fighting. And in criticizing us as a government, he's also technically criticizing the work of the security forces.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, JLP campaign chair. The governing JLP will launch its 2025 election manifesto on Sunday, August 24, at a mass rally in Sam Sharp Square in Montego Bay, St. James. The manifesto is dubbed I Choose Jamaica, the Next Chapter. Kamina Johnson-Smith is the chairman of the JLP's manifesto committee.
I Choose Jamaica, the Next Chapter, will be launched for the first time out of Kingston. No manifesto has ever been launched outside of Kingston, nor has one ever been launched at a mass rally, and it will be launched at Sam Sharp Square at our mass rally on Sunday, the 24th at 4 p.m. So we really want to encourage you to come out. We want to see you there. We think we'll have an exciting presentation for you.
Mrs. Johnson-Smith notes that the use of a mass rally to launch the manifesto is based on the JLP's mission to bring policies to the people.
We wanted to make sure that in the same innovative way that we launched our achievements, bringing it to the people, not a closed door room with men in grey suits and limited into hotel access, but one which widely engaged with people who might not normally engage with the political process and beyond. Taking it out of Kingston was also very important to us, because you always hear in rural Jamaica that Kingston is not Jamaica. There's always an interest in us making sure that policies go beyond the urban. We must not only speak about it, but we must do it and demonstrate our commitment to doing more differently and in this way.
Kamina Johnson-Smith, the chairman of the JLP's Manifesto and Achievements Committee. Good and honest. That's how Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon is describing Thursday's wage negotiations with the Jamaica Teachers Association and the Ministry of Finance.
I thought it was a very good meeting, and there was a lot of honesty in the meetings, and that's what you want when you're at an impasse like this. And that was very appreciated on all sides. And the Ministry of Finance gave their presentation, and the unions also gave their presentation and spoke to some of the issues they've had in terms of the entire process. We also had a presentation from Keith Duncan, who leads the advisory committee for the Fiscal Commission, and he looked at the fiscal numbers and the environment within which the wage negotiations is actually taking place.
Representatives from the Ministry of Education, the opposition, unions and civil society were also involved in Thursday's meeting. Minister Morris-Dixon says future meetings will be held as soon as next week in order to further discussions about wages.
And I believe that we were able to leave with an understanding of the next steps. And the key thing is that we're going to be moving forward with mutual respect on all sides, and we will be honest as we move forward. And so I'm very happy that there will be other meetings. Other meetings have been scheduled as close as next week to move the process forward. And I want to thank the partners, the National Partnership Committee, which has membership from civil society, has membership from academia, the unions, the private sector, government and opposition, for being there in the meeting today, because I think we were able to actually hammer out a lot of the concerns and create a framework for moving forward.
Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, Minister of Education. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Looking for a jam or preserve to fill your sweet cravings, but worried about calories or high sugar content? Well, look no further. Try Smucker's sugar-free fruit jams and preserves with so many tasty flavors to choose from. Grape jam, strawberry, red raspberry, blueberry preserves, and orange marmalade. With a name like Smucker's, it must be good. Find them at retail outlets island-wide. Distributed by Chassis Ramson.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
We create more jobs for Jamaicans, build road and better education. We make communities safer, ring the bell and go more labor. There is no party next to we, the greatest team in history. Jamaica Labour Party marching on to victory. We do so much already, now we doing more.
The preceding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
I appeal to the young man and the young woman on the corner who is wanting a job but don't know where a job is, or may have gone for a job interview and was not successful, and then leaves with the opinion that there is no space for me in this growing economy. I need you. Your country needs you. Your economy needs you. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone needs you. You are a critical element in the growth of this country. And this administration, through the Heart Trust NSTA, we will find you, we will support you, we will assist you in getting trained and getting employed so that you can claim your share in the prosperity that Jamaica is experiencing.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Are you ready for something mega? Spend $6,500 or more before GCT, drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It's the Mega Wheels 2 promotion, April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Redstone, Heineken, True Milk, Rex, Walker's Wood, Downing, CPJ Daiquiri, and Carryburst Juice Concentrate. Only at Megamart. Locations island-wide. Megamart, best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We start with track and the field. Jamaica picked up 2 more medals to bring the country's tally to 9 at the Junior Pan Am Games in Paraguay on Thursday. Sabrina Dacre, Marisa Palmer, Serena Cole and Alana Reid won gold in the women's 4x100 meters relay in 43.51 seconds. In the men's final, the quartet of Andre Reid, Jelani Gordon, Odean Cooks and Nkume Buaje posted 39.21 seconds to win the silver. The event was won by Colombia in 38.99. Multiple world and Olympic medalist Shelley Fraser-Pryce is among 3 Jamaicans down to compete at the Brussels Diamond League in Belgium on Friday. Fraser-Pryce, who will be attending her last major championships in Japan next month, will clash with the fastest woman in the world this year, the American Melissa Jefferson Wooden, in a 100 meters, which also brings together reigning world champions Sha'Carri Richardson and Daryl Nita. The other Jamaicans in action, Shanika Ricketts and Akila Smith, in the women's triple jump. The meet is set to get underway at 1:04 p.m. Jamaica time. Now to cricket, as Trinidad and Tobago registered a commanding 10-wicket victory over Jamaica in their West Indies Rising Stars Under-17 Regional Two-Day Championships at Cove on Thursday. Set a target of 34 for victory, Trinidad coasted as opener Salim Khan 19 and Christiana Lal 12 took them home. Jamaica led by an opening stand of 80 between Captain Tyson Gordon Jr., 41, and Demarai Hall, 47, made 122 for 9 in their second innings. Scores in the match: Trinidad and Tobago scored a 233 and 34, Jamaica 142 and 122. It was Jamaica's second defeat at the tournament, following a 2-run loss to Barbados and a draw against the Leewards. Jamaica will next be in action on Sunday against the Windward Islands at the Queen's Park Oval. Barbados also won on Thursday, beating the Windward Islands by 10 wickets, while the Leeward Islands pulled off an 8-wicket win over Guyana. Jamaican international football player Leon Bailey has suffered a suspected slight tear off the quad during his first training session with Italian Serie A side AS Roma on Wednesday. The club released a statement after tests were done on the player on Thursday in Rome. Bailey is scheduled to undergo further diagnostic tests in a few hours to establish the precise extent of the injury. In the meantime, Bailey has already begun rehabilitation treatment at a sports center. The injury could sideline Bailey for at least 3 weeks, which will see him missing the season against Bologna this weekend. Barcelona youngster Ibrahim Diarra was ruled out of the whole of pre-season last month with the same injury. The 28-year-old Bailey could sign for Roma permanently next summer as they hold an option to buy the player for around £19 million. Villa will receive a loan fee of roughly $2.5 million, taking the total potential value of the deal to £22 million. President of the Inter-Secondary School Sports Association, Issa Keith Wellington, has confirmed that there will be no new venue added to the pool of locations for the 2025 Issa schoolboy football season. Speaking at the launch of the competition, Wellington says there will be no venue expansion. He, however, calls for schools to improve their infrastructure.
That wide array of venues to choose from. What we want to do this year is to make sure that we make the best use of the best venues to ensure that the quality of the football is at the standard that we want to. We also, from an ISA perspective, want to ensure that the venues that we use are able to give us a good return on our investment in terms of gate receipts and so on. I saw the Glenmuir venue just a few weeks ago, and I'm really pleased with how it looks. They are doing some work there as well, and we encourage other schools to make that sort of investment in their venues.
Keith Wellington. Now, President of Jamaica Football Federation Michael Ricketts is crediting the country's schoolboy football program for assisting in the growth and development of Jamaica's youth system.
We all understand the importance of schoolboy football as it relates to our youth programs. When you think that last year Jamaica won the CFU under 14 competition with a number, of course, schoolboy footballers. And then this year we stepped up a little bit. We won the CONCACAF under 15 tournament and was very impressive in doing so.
Ricketts added that Jamaica's recent success at the youth level speaks to the quality of football being played in the Issa Manning and the Costa Cup competitions on a yearly basis. He added that it's of paramount interest that the JFF continue their close partnership with Issa to help with the transition process.
So very important that Issa and the JFF continue to have that relationship. What is also significant is that FIFA has sponsored a TDS program, a talent development program, and that impacts our youth program in a very significant way as well.
Michael Ricketts. Now to horse racing, as chairman of the Jamaica Racing Commission, Clovis Metcalf, says the appeal by veteran jockey Philip Parchment against a 25 race day ban hung on whether the act was deliberate. Parchment was handed the suspension by the racing stewards on August 12 for the intimidation and interference caused to Linguistis and Danka aboard Wayne's Cherry Links on August 2. The suspension was due to commence on August 30. The appeal was heard on Wednesday and the suspension was reduced to 6 days. Metcalf told Nationwide Sports that the JRC racing commissioners were left with no choice but to reduce the suspension as they could not say conclusively that the act was deliberate as the stewards had charged.
We couldn't determine, as the stewards had indicated, that the action was deliberate or intentional. The stewards were of the view that it was premeditated and that it was deliberate. We couldn't detect that. And that was the most critical part. If it was deliberate, then the sentence would stay. But we have to err on the side of caution and give him the benefit of the doubt.
Metcalf says the stewards were well within the rules when they dished out the 25 race day ban once they believed the act was deliberate. Only that on appeal, it was not the case as far as the commissioners were concerned.
If they determine that it was deliberate, and they are not the only ones, because I've gotten other views that say it was deliberate, then they have a right to give him the 25 days.
Clovis Metcalf. Now to motorsports, as Brandon Shore and Justin Donaldson will represent Jamaica at the inaugural FIA Karting Arrive and Drive World Cup in Malaysia from November 14 to 16. The groundbreaking event, staged under the FIA's Global Karting Plan, aims to provide equal opportunities for emerging karting talent worldwide. With cost control and equipment standardized, the competition creates a level playing field for drivers from all backgrounds to showcase their skills on an international stage. Jamaica's representatives will compete across both categories of the World Cup, Shore Junior category and Donaldson Senior. Each category is limited to only 54 drivers worldwide, underscoring the significance of Shore and Donaldson's selection as part of this elite group. The competition format will span 3 days, beginning with 3 practice sessions and followed up by qualifying practice and 3 qualifying heats per driver. The final phase will see the top 28 drivers in each category advancing to the main final, while the remaining competitors will contest a B final. The top 3 drivers in each category will not only earn an invitation to the prestigious FIA Karting Awards ceremony, but will also be selected for the Karting Excellence Center shootout among FIA Karting champions. The senior shootout winner will receive a scholarship to support their progression in FIA Formula 4. Donaldson says he's looking forward to the challenge.
I've been training a lot at the track and also off the track, I have a exercise program. I jog, I do swimming. I'm also going to be driving a more powerful car in practice, a shifter car, just to get used to stronger power. So, when I go in the car that I'll be driving, it will be quite easy. I'm looking forward to the challenge because where fear and intimidation comes in, that's where you've kind of defeated yourself. So you really need to just have a lot of confidence, even if it might not go your way, but you have to have a lot of confidence because it will most likely work out in the end.
Meanwhile, the junior winner will earn a budget contribution toward their next FIA Karting Championship season. Shore says he has no fear.
Very good achievement for not just the country, the sport, but also me, because this is a very good opportunity for me to prove myself to the wider stage. Going to a new country doesn't really scare me, because at the end of the day, it's still karting. And a new country doesn't faze me. And new opponents don't faze me, because they're still opponents and I still have to beat them.
Brandon Shore. This is Nationwide's World Championships Countdown. With 23 days to go before the Tokyo World Championships, the local organizing committee for the World Athletics Race Walking Team Championships, Brasilia 26, has unveiled the event's logo, which captures the energy, color, and landscape of the host city. The logo for the championships features some of Brasilia's most iconic landmarks, including the Metropolitan Cathedral and the National Congress Building, all pictured in Brazil's unmistakable colors, green, yellow, and blue. World Athletics Race Walking Team Championships Brasilia 26, which is being organized by CBAT with support from the government of Federal District, will take place on April 12, 2026. That was Nationwide's World Championship Countdown. I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:23.
The wait is over. Spark is coming to you. Across Jamaica, we'll be fixing 10 roads per constituency. Over 100 roads will be fixed by September and 630 roads overall. This is real action, real improvement, real results. Every Jamaican deserves safer, stronger roads. Spark, the next chapter in Jamaica's infrastructure development.
Stay ahead in your career with UWI-STAR, the short-term advancement resource center. Our programs are designed to support your professional growth. Join our community of professionals and take the next step in your career. Visit our website, www.mona.uwi.edu/short-courses to learn more about the continuing professional education programs of UWI-STAR.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
All roads lead to the JLP Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. at Sam Sharp Square. Come hear from JLP champions Dr. Horace Chang, Ed Bartlett, Darrell Vaz, Dr. Christopherson, Floyd Green, Homer Davis, Marlene Malahoo Ford, Heroy Clark, Fable Williams, Camila Johnson Smith, and others. Main address comes from Prime Minister and Party Leader Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Jamaica Labour Party doing more for you. Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. Sam Sharp Square. We choose Jamaica. X beside the bell. See you there.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
KFC this summer, we are bucking together. All I vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good. KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion. All of we connect with the KFC. Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucking together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good. KFC.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special one to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We ask you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. Today we're turning our attention to the suggestion, I would think, from the newly installed president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Mark Malava. He's calling on the Ministry of Education to abort its plans to build 6 STEAM schools across the island. He dismissed the plan as a vanity project aimed at stoking the ego of politicians.
There is no need, Minister, to build more schools in Jamaica at this time. Nonetheless, the government has borrowed $133 million to build 6 STEAM schools across the country, with ground already being broken in St. Catherine. If we are not experiencing a population explosion, it defies logic to be borrowing money to build these schools when we have a number of high schools that are underpopulated. I dare say these projects are nothing more but legacy projects, because someone in government wants a school to be named after them.
That's Mark Malava, president of the JTA. He was speaking at the JTA's 61st annual conference on Monday. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, should the government abort plans to build new STEAM schools based on the suggestion? We'll turn to our Facebook platform where Oral Daily is saying, nope. not if they want to produce workers to match or support the growth that they want to see in 10 years. We could be net exporters of skills that we can't employ as well, but if not, they can improve on the plans of Hart NTA. Beva Baker is saying, no way, full force ahead, prosperity is a must. Judith Thorpe is saying, what the STEAM schools will be, will there be more secondary high schools or more universities when you have more children that achieve the requirements than what the school can accommodate? Then what happens? Donovan Smith is saying, no, we need a highly trained and educated young population as well as the population in general, educated and full certified and qualified in the latest and future research into AI, quantum computing and robotics. Jamaica cannot be left behind. Individual institutions like this have propelled nations to technological advancements. Troy Evans is saying, all no, the Jamaican public can't hear. Well, this is unrelated to the question. Wesley is saying, no, do not abort plans to build the STEAM schools. Continue on the road to prosperity. Also saying no is Jamaican Forward. He's saying these will do good for the country. And Alicia Wiley saying no, the schools will be a great asset. And she's saying we need to train persons to meet the demands of the evolving job market. In public opinion, should the government abort plans to build new STEAM schools? Edney Powell is saying no, and is saying that we can't allow political apologists to dictate that. Audley Nain saying to us that the STEAM school is a great thing for Jamaica. Clifton also saying that the education ministry should stand firm. Philip Jackson saying only if the government head is frozen. And he goes on to speak about the JTA and the suggestion that was made. Maury McCarthy is saying not at all. We need these STEAM schools. Don't listen to Malava. Okay, George Elliott also saying no. I'm seeing a lot of no's here. Seeing a lot of no's coming. Cheryl Griffiths is saying to please who? Abort to please who? On our X platform, let me see to the question, should the government abort plans to build the new STEAM schools? On X, Jay Brown says, absolutely not. If the government had listened to all the so-called experts, crime would have still been out of control. So go ahead with the STEAM schools. This is a new way of thinking for the future. JTA cannot help solve the educational problem. That's according to Jay Brown. Andre Lawrence is questioning, why would anyone with Jamaica's best interest at heart call for aborting new STEAM schools? Education is the engine of opportunity. STEAM is the fuel. He's saying to stop now is to hand tomorrow's jobs to someone else's children. And he's saying to us that the real question isn't if we can afford to continue, but if we can afford not to. And he's saying some have an agenda, shoot it down. Dion Mitchell is saying, no, I couldn't support that backward view. Just yesterday, one former AI executive reported that with the rapid expansion of technology, and in particular AI, that certain careers are becoming obsolete. Only tweet is saying, build the schools. They will be foundation to the direction of where the country needs to be. Tia Davis is saying education has long suffered in our country. We need to create more educational opportunities for our children. Absolutely not, says the patriotic one. And let me see if I can go to quickly the comments on Instagram. Zugi is questioning, why not just upgrade all schools into STEAM schools? Melly Tucker saying we need STEAM. Jay is telling us full speed ahead. STEAM is the future. J3T's Queen. No, that's backward. STEAM is the way. More work for Jamaicans and people from all over the world can attend as international students based on we will be the best. Okay, she's saying with the STEAM schools, we will be the best. Build the schools, says Empress, and implement a program in all schools. Hell to the no, says Ost Elmo. And he's saying it's a foolish thing to carry. It's a foolish thing to cover any suggestion to say that the ministry should abort the STEAM schools. That's according to Elmo, Ost Elmo. Latoya believes that they should continue. Our kids need to be able to compete on the international level. Should the government abort plans to build new STEAM schools? That's the public opinion, a suggestion from the newly installed JTA president right away on our YouTube platform. Carl Welsh is saying no. Press ahead with the schools, says Jamaican for Life. STEAM is putting Jamaica in a position of advantage. Sharna Blake says we need dedicated STEAM schools. Okay, Marlene P is saying that is why I'm okay. I can't say that Marlene P coming. I know if I saw if it's true, Marlene. All right, let me see. No way, says Tanya. Hameen is saying most developed countries with a plethora of schools still build STEAM schools. Fitzgerald Lewis, there are schools right now that are ill-equipped. Marlene P believes that the principal is living in the 15th century. And I suppose you're referring to the JTA president, Marlene. Miss Chin is saying, I don't like the posture of this JTA head, but 16 schools is too much. 4 STEAM schools in the 4 corners of the island are enough. People need affordable housing. Is it not 6 that was said? Thought it was 6. Cuz versus Cuz is saying, I'm going to go fix up the hospital. Them, the doctors need equipment, medicine for the patients. Are you saying that they should fix the hospitals instead of building STEAM schools? Fully Disclosed saying, Malava Sounds is saying, STEAM is where the world is going. We need to build more STEAM schools. Becca Grant, not at all. Abort to... She's saying, abort to please Malava. He will be in the past 10 years from now. Our children are the future engineers. All right. Hayward believes that we already have STEAM schools. What we need is modern technology. Yeah. All right. I'm getting the wrap-up signal, guys. Thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. The Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ is reminding members of the public that effective September 1, 2025, it will discontinue the acceptance of personal, business, and company checks. This means that as of this date, the payment instrument or method can no longer be used for payment of public monies and tax-related transactions except in the following cases: where a valid check is issued by another ministry, department, or public body, or where a valid manager's check is issued by a local licensed commercial bank regulated by the Bank of Jamaica. The TAJ says while non-check payments will still be accepted in line, the authority encourages taxpayers and other stakeholders to utilize the online payment options available. Further afield, U.S. President Donald Trump has backed down from setting high tariffs on pharmaceuticals and semiconductors imported from the European Union. Last month, Trump said pharmaceuticals and semiconductors were not covered by the U.S. and EU's handshake trade deal, meaning those sectors could have faced tariff rates of 250% and 100% respectively. But according to new details released about the U.S.-EU agreement on Thursday, EU pharma and semiconductor tariffs will be limited to 15% in line with most other sectors in the trade deal. However, the EU will first have to pass legislation reducing U.S. export tariffs to zero in order to get the 27.5% tariffs on car exports reduced to 15%. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 160 Jamaican dollars and 92 cents to buy $1 US, 216 Jamaican dollars and 66 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 118 Jamaican dollars to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Roby Ann Williams. Good evening.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
All roads lead to the JLP Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. at Sam Shop Square. Come hear from JLP champions Dr. Horace Chang, Ed Bartlett, Darrell Vaz, Dr. Christopherson, Floyd Green, Homer Davis, Marlene Malahoo Ford, Heroy Clark, Fable Williams, Camina Johnson Smith, and others. Main address comes from Prime Minister and Party Leader Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Jamaica Labour Party doing more for you. Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. Sam Shop Square. We choose Jamaica. X beside the bell. See you there.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Spring into style with Unique Living. Upgrade your home with our extensive range of products. Get sleek shower panels, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, plus kitchen sinks, closet solutions, ceiling fans, and more. Available in various finishes and sizes. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call 876-755-3661 or visit our website at www.uniquelivingja.com. Don't wait to spring into style with Unique Living.
You can still go through quicker and cheaper with a T-tag under the new toll rate structure. Effective August 23, there will be some changes to the toll rates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards, and Maypen toll plazas. But don't worry, with a T-tag, all Class 1 and Class 2 customers will enjoy discounted rates for every single passage. Plus, your 10th weekly trip through the same toll plaza is free. Visit transjamhighways.com for details. Get your T-tag today from any manually operated toll booth on Transjam Highways.
Home is closer than you think when you save towards your dream home with the Home Owner Savings Plan, or HOSP, from CIBC Caribbean. With HOSP, you unlock preferential interest rates to earn more interest on your savings and pay less with a discounted mortgage rate. You can even borrow up to an additional US $5,000 or its equivalent to help you with your closing costs. Get home faster when you save the HOSP way with CIBC.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multi-Link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-Link?
Remember to take your new voter ID card to the polling station on election day. You may still vote without your ID card, but the process will be faster if you have it with you. If you don't have your ID card, you must answer questions, be fingerprinted, and take an oath before you can vote. Bring your voter ID card and make it easier on yourself and others. That was a message from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
The 2025 bird shooting season will run from Saturday, August 23 to Sunday, September 28, 2025. Only the Zanada dove, white-winged dove, mourning dove, and the white-crowned pigeon may be hunted. Hunting sessions are sunrise to 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. to sunset on Saturdays, and from sunrise to 9 a.m. on Sundays. Only 20 birds may be shot during a session, and no more than 15 should be white-crowned pigeons. The head of each bird must be retained on the body for inspection. A message from the National Environment and Planning Agency.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's 6:42. It's time for the nation's business. But before we go right into the next segment, you would have seen that exchange between myself and JTA President Mark Malaba at 5:30 regarding the rationale provided by the Ministry of the government regarding their wage negotiations and the rejection of several concerns raised by the JTA. Mr. Malava suggested that when I said he was being disingenuous, that I was the one being incorrect in terms of how the previous exchange went. So I simply asked them to put together the clip and please, if you would, play it. Where they are coming from in terms of their wage offer.
Well, I am in no position to tell you what is their counterpoint. I am just able to go off with their response to our claims. All we saw on those lists, on that list of claims is not supported, not supported, not supported. I saw not supported until my eyes dazzled.
So they gave no rational explanation as to why this would not be supported?
No rationale was given as to why it was not supported.
So I simply leave it with you, listeners and viewers, to make what you will of that exchange. As I said, I believe Mr. Malaba either was being disingenuous or deliberately obtuse in terms of his response later to suggest that that was not what I asked. Because if you're suggesting that the ministry, the government specifically, gave you no rationale whatsoever, whether it's in writing or in a later discourse as to why they didn't accept your claim, when I ask you the question, you don't simply say, no, none was given, and then later suggest that I am the one being disingenuous. But I leave that at that. Let's move on to, well, the JLP governing Jamaica Labour Party will launch its 2025 election manifesto on Sunday, August 24, at a mass rally in Sam Sharp Square in Montego Bay, St. James. The manifesto is dubbed I Choose Jamaica, the Next Chapter. Chairman of the JLP's Manifesto Committee, Kamina Johnson-Smith, says it's the first time an election manifesto will be launched outside of Kingston. She was speaking at a JLP media briefing on Thursday at the party's headquarters.
You recognize that our campaign has been focused on the fact that we've been doing more for you. And what you certainly have been hearing across the piece is that we are committed to doing more. We know that we have not reached every family, we've not reached every community, we have not moved every lever of economic growth that we know can be moved, but we are committed to doing so, and we are committed to getting there. We've also said, of course, that we're really pleased that so many people are excited to see what's in our manifesto. We've heard people asking questions, and we've heard people saying we want to see what's in the JLP manifesto, and we think that's great. And we're responding to that, of course, by ensuring that we meet our commitment of having said to you that we will be sharing our manifesto in a new, creative way, and that we will make sure that we engage as deeply and widely with the Jamaican people as possible on the issue. And it is for this reason that I Choose Jamaica, the Next Chapter, will be launched for the first time out of Kingston. No manifesto has ever been launched outside of Kingston, nor has one ever been launched at a mass rally, and it will be launched at Sam Sharp Square at our mass rally on Sunday, the 24th at 4 p.m. So we really want to encourage you to come out. We want to see you there. We think we'll have an exciting presentation for you. We want to invite you also, of course, to tune in to the social debates which take place the night before, at which you'll have the opportunity to undoubtedly get a preview of some of the contents of the manifesto that, of course, will be relevant to the debate. So again, I Choose Jamaica, the Next Chapter. See you at Sam Sharp Square.
That's Kamina Johnson-Smith. She is the chairman of the JLP's Manifesto and Achievements Committee. Meanwhile, chairman of the JLP's campaign committee, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the JLP's internal numbers align with recent public polls showing gathering momentum. I beg your pardon, let me read that again. Mr. Tufton says the JLP's internal numbers align with recent public polls showing gathering momentum heading into the September 3 general election.
I want to quickly comment on another issue that has been a public discussion, which is the public opinion polls that started a few days ago, but yesterday party standings were in one of our daily newspapers today, actually. First of all, let's make it clear, we don't attack polls. This is not our position. This JLP party and government, we tend to shy away from speaking too much about polls. We observe, we assess, we listen, and we then determine how we position ourselves in terms of our response, our feedback, and indeed our policies and programs. We observe what is done independent of us, and we conduct our own internally, because it is important for us to recognize a sense of direction and the public's perception of our direction. So I want to make that clear. We have observed those polls, and I'll only comment by saying that based on all the polls that we have seen and those that we have conducted internally, we are comfortable that the Jamaica Labour Party has the momentum going into these elections on September 3rd. And that's a comfortable position to be in, but it's not a reason to be complacent. It's another reason to become arrogant. It's not a reason to feel, as some may be tempted to do, that somehow it is over. That's not our position at all. Our position is we will continue to work harder for the support of the Jamaican people in order to secure a third term, because we believe that the Jamaica Labour Party is the best party at this time to move the country forward. So while these polls do offer some insights, we have also formed insights based on our own internal polls, and we believe that there are some similarities in some areas, and in other areas we have alternative views. But we are comfortable and confident in our approach, in our strategy, and we will continue to pursue that approach and strategy going forward.
That is Dr. Christopher Tufton. He's the chairman of the JLP's campaign committee. Well, Dr. Tufton says the party has been gaining momentum.
The efforts on the ground continues. I've personally been to quite a few parishes, of course, other leaders, led of course by the most honorable Prime Minister and party leader, Andrew Holness, has been out in the field. The energy is good. The response from the public, from constituents, are positive. We're listening, we are discussing, we are responding, we're making suggestions, and we're pushing the agenda, which we believe is the right agenda for the country, of the Jamaica Labour Party. And so far, we are very confident that there is significant take-up, and we will continue to do so in humility and in a sense of consultation. So that's the sort of tone of the approach that we have taken, and the response on the ground continues to be positive. Over the last few days, of course, we had nominations, so we know it's now official, as the country would know. We have fielded candidates in all 63 constituencies. All went well. They are duly nominated, and we are now in another phase of the campaign, which is to present and reinforce the suitability of our candidates, their talents, their skills, their credentials, their vision for each constituency that they're representing, and their representation, which is characterized by care and compassion, but also competence, with the flagship, of course, being the government, the Jamaica Labour Party's government, overarching support to continue to build on the advancement, the achievements that we have made over the last 9 years. So the nominations went well. The logistics, the implementation from our perspective, from our side, went well. We had record numbers out in the field in different constituencies, and the energy level for us is right where it ought to be at this point in time, monitoring the the activities of the campaign so far. So we're comfortable and we're confident that we are moving in a good direction leading up to September 3rd when the Jamaican people will decide.
Before we go to the next set of clips, Sanjay, it's an interesting thing to launch a manifesto during a mass rally. Isn't there some concerns, though, that the message of the manifesto might be lost in the more uproarious expectations of an actual mass rally?
It really depends on the strategy and the format in which they will present the manifesto to the people. And I realize that the JLP has been very strategic. That's one. And the second thing that I've realized is that it's how they utilize the digital space, the visuals. So I suspect what they will do is probably use snippets from the manifesto to talk about what are the main areas of focus and not drill down so much into the finer details of how they will go about doing certain things that they will probably have in the manifesto. Yeah, because you don't want to lose the audience, as you indicated. And if you get into too much or too many details, then you will lose certainly the audience that you have at a mass rally. It's going to be difficult, though. But let's see how they take that approach.
That's a good point. I really want to see how they handle that. And as I said earlier, I believe it was late last week, that there are some expectations I have from this JLP manifesto based on what has been put out in the public domain in terms of criticisms of the PNP's manifesto. So I will see if that manifesto lives up to it, because I am definitely going to be eagerly perusing that document. Well, in the meantime, Dr. Tufton took the PNP's Peter Bunting to task over his approach to crime fighting and public security. Bunting is quoted as saying that the JLP has taken a warrior approach to crime, while the PNP would take a guardian strategy. Dr. Tufton says Peter Bunting's approach to crime fighting is misguided.
I wanted to make a quick comment on some of the utterances that we have been seeing played out in the media space. Starting with a comment from the opposition PNP, and specifically from Peter Bunting, who is the shadow spokesperson on national security. And I wanted to highlight this comment because, this country has been kept back to a large extent because of crime and the fear of crime. And I think it's important, particularly in this current dispensation, when Jamaicans are being asked to decide who is the best political organization to carry this country forward, to appreciate the difference between the PNP and the Jamaica Labour Party. And I think Peter Bunting has offered an opportunity for the country to zero in on what this difference means for them, for their families, for their communities, for their freedom of movement, for their businesses, for their own safety and security within their space, which, as we know, has been a major debilitating factor in our country. Mr. Bunting, at his party's manifesto launch, and as reported in the media, speaks to this difference between the PNP and the JLP from a crime-fighting standpoint, describing, and I'm quoting here, the JLP having a warrior mentality among the security forces, while the PNP promotes a guardian mentality. On the face of it, I really gave it an earnest effort to try to understand what he means by that, and had a difficulty coming to terms with that interpretation based on his own track record as a former Minister of National Security, and certainly the track record of the PNP in terms of fighting crime, when juxtaposed or compared with what this government, this Jamaica Labour Party government, has done. Firstly, I want to say that given the heinous nature of the crimes that we have seen in this country meted out on innocent Jamaicans, sometimes it does take a warrior mentality to respond, and to respond within a context, not to disregard human rights, as some would want to claim, but to respond in a way that will recognize the seriousness of these crimes and why it is important to assert yourself as a state, as a police force supported by the army, and indeed by all of us, in order to face down the criminals and the criminality that has been taking place, and to achieve the ultimate objective of making our society safer. So he may, Mr. Bunting, that is, not realize that he may have been complementing the Jamaica Labour Party strategy by recognizing that you have to assert yourselves in the midst of a crisis. And we have had for generations a crisis of crime and violence, and it has taken its toll in many ways on our society.
And the JLP campaign chair criticized Bunting's track record as security minister, pointing to the now infamous plea he made for divine intervention.
His comments, I think, too, are somewhat condescending, not somewhat, but condescending of the security forces. Because implicit in what he's saying is that somehow the security forces are conducting themselves in a manner that should not be supported. And that's the interpretation, because let's face it, the government prescribes policy, the security forces implement. They are the operational agency of crime fighting. And in criticizing us as a government, he's also technically criticizing the work of the security forces, even though I've heard him say otherwise. But in this case, this is how it comes across. And he needs to clarify that. We believe that the security forces, based on government policy and government support in terms of resources, in terms of additional manpower, upgrading of stations, additional mobility, additional intelligence gathering, have done a commendable job. And the manifestations of that is the significant reduction in serious crimes, well over 40%, closer to 45% year to date, 43% to be exact in terms of murders. And that for me means, for us, means a safer society, and a society where Jamaicans can move about more freely and pursue their ambitions in whatever way, shape, or form, particularly in communities where they once had to close their doors early and live in fear. And this is not something to criticize, this is something to commend. And I think that Mr. Bunting is way off course in his description of how we have approached responding to crime and violence. The other thing I'd say is that he needs to be reminded of his own legacy. He needs to be reminded of his own legacy. First of all, we have 318 fewer Jamaicans that have been murdered this year when compared to 2024. That's the 43% reduction year to date. That's a very good thing. And Jamaicans, I think appropriately so, have applauded the work that this government and the security forces have been doing. Gangs in this country have been cut from 300 when the Jamaica Labour Party took office to under 100. That's the intelligence that have been made public by the security forces. That is a very good thing. If it takes a warrior mentality to achieve that, it means a safer society. And his lack of recognition of that, to our mind, is an indication that he's out of touch. And if his approach is to do otherwise, whatever guardian mentality means, then what it will mean is that we will see a surge in crime and violence again, which is what we don't want. And the Jamaican electorate must be very mindful of that. His own legacy, I think, demonstrates why he speaks the way he does, because he was not very successful when he was at the wicket as the chief minister or portfolio leader for crime. So Mr. Bunting did not achieve success, and he's on record of saying a range of things as to why, including the need for divine intervention, which we have no problem with divine intervention, but the Bible does say faith without works is a problem, and he clearly did not do the work. And therefore, we are of the view, simply put, that he neither has the experience or indeed the moral authority to describe the crime-fighting measures that have been pursued by this government and this Jamaica Constabulary Force in a disparaging or indeed disrespectful way.
That's Dr. Christopher Tufton, JLP campaign chair. Dr. Tufton raises an interesting point here, because I was at the manifesto launch when Bunting raised that matter of the guardian versus warrior approach to crime fighting. And I think the real question Jamaican people should ask, because, I mean, whatever guardian approach or warrior approach means, is the current strategy getting results in terms of achievable, observable results in terms of the reduction in crime and violence? And if the answer is yes, which I think is based on the statistical analysis would be yes, it is having a result that we can see perceptibly that it is having that result, then why is the approach itself being raised for concern when even during that manifesto launch, Mr. Bunting, during his criticisms of the government's approach to crime fighting, at no point referenced the murder rate or crime rate of the country?
You know, sometimes I'm amazed by the communication strategy of the People's National Party, you know, because when you have someone like a Peter Bunting criticizing the strategy taken by the government, it calls for them now to have a response like what we're seeing from Dr. Tufton. It's the same way as if having Philip Paulwell criticizing the government on its strategy towards reducing electricity costs. Those individuals are not necessarily the best one that you put on the forefront to bat for you on certain cause, because they were at the wicket before, and the statistics is showing that they didn't necessarily do a good job at whatever they had to do. So the approach has to be so careful, in responding, because again, Jamaican people are looking on, and if you realize, Siobhan, and you listen to Dr. Tufton, I call him cool and deadly. His strategy, the way how he markets whatever he's putting forward to the Jamaican people and match against what exists, it leaves people to stop and think, and which is important in marketing. I think Dr. Tufton did it right in that press conference today.
Precisely. Well, the member of the JLP's communication task force, that's Marlon Morgan, he closed out the proceedings by criticizing the PNP's approach to their campaign.
We have been clear in the Jamaica Labour Party that we will not promote violence, irresponsible conduct, or attack democratic institutions in our beloved country. Team JLP does not promote or endorse bullyism in any way, shape, or form. And if inappropriate conduct manifests, we are prepared to hold our members and supporters to account and condemn any departure from the standards to which we hold ourselves. On the contrary, however, over the past few days, we have seen incidents which confirm that our main opponents, the opposition PNP, is neither suitable nor ready to govern Jamaica. Their utterances and general posture and attitude project arrogance. It reflects an egregious lack of principle, and it signals a willingness, as it were, to engage in acts of intimidation in apparent breach of the code, the political code of conduct. Team JLP has noted reports of a PNP candidate and his supporters appearing to intentionally posture in a way which signaled a willingness to obstruct or otherwise impede a lawful tour being undertaken by our Prime Minister and Party Leader, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and one of our candidates over recent days. We have seen disrespectful declarations by PNP supporters that the Jamaica Labour Party members and supporters, to include our Prime Minister and Party Leader, cannot come into an area which they clearly regard as their stronghold and feel as though they have ownership and superintendence over that area. We have also seen and heard a PNP activist and well-known PNP blogger on social media threatening that he is willing to open gunfire, kill people, and turn Jamaica into Haiti if his party, the PNP, loses the upcoming general election. The menacing and threatening words that emanated while the individual pledged his loyalty to the PNP candidate in St. Elizabeth, is indeed disturbing. As law-abiding Jamaicans, we note and welcome reports in the news media that the individual has been taken into police custody. We also note persistent attacks by the PNP on the media, an important and indispensable pillar in our democratic system of governance. We were neither shocked nor surprised by the PNP's subsequent public admission by way of a media release that they have moved to blacklist all proposed questioners from a particular media entity in the upcoming national debates being organized by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Of note, also, is the PNP's desperate, unwarranted, and quite frankly, childish move to report to the Broadcasting Commission journalists merely because they did not want to be criticized or did not like how they were criticized by the respective journalists. These unprincipled actions do not augur well, nor do they accord with the democratic traditions we hold dear and resolve to uphold and preserve as well-thinking and well-meaning Jamaicans. All in all, ladies and gentlemen, the PNP's actions in relation to the press reveal that they are prepared to be vindictive, oppressive, and dictatorial, using political power to exact vengeance and pursue witch hunts. It is important for the public to note that all of these recent acts have come following certain declarations. I speak here of declarations such as a declaration by a misguided PNP candidate that she is prepared for war and, quote, if a war, end quote. And there's also another declaration by another misguided PNP candidate that, quote, shavar mandem, end quote, and, quote again, all who switch are going to end up in a ditch, end quote. We condemn in the strongest terms the aforementioned intimidatory, anti-democratic, arrogant, and despicable utterances and actions by the PNP and its representatives.
Marlon Morgan there, member of the JLP's Communication Task Force. He was speaking at the JLP's media briefing today at the party's headquarters. So what do you make of that final comment there by Mr. Morgan, Sanjay?
Yeah, you see, it goes back to what I was indicating to you, Siobhan. The JLP is being very strategic with how they communicate and how they're trying to flip the narrative on the People's National Party, because certainly now the focus is on the attacks. The PNP is attacking the media. The PNP is being bullied. The PNP supporters within the respective constituencies. It creates this narrative, to the Jamaican people. And it's going to be interesting to see how the People's National Party will respond to some of the things and some of the claims put forward by Marlon in that clip that we just heard.
It will be an interesting few days heading into next week. I'm sure we'll hear more from the People's National Party after the JLP's manifesto launch. I'm sure there'll be criticisms and other follow-ups to be made over the coming weeks, especially with the first debate. I understand it is this Saturday, or is it the next?
This Saturday.
This Saturday, yes. So I'm eager to see what that performance shapes up to be, and if the format as the JDC has put forward works in terms of what I've always found lacking in our local debates is there's not much room for crosstalk between the two parties, not enough room to allow them to challenge each other in terms of the points put forward. But I can understand to an expectation that you want some level of civility, and oftentimes when you allow too much crosstalk, it tends to descend and the actual objective of the debate is not met. But I feel that we should allow some level of confrontation.
Crosstalk is important.
Yes, in the debate format. But listeners, I believe we have remind me of the name. Yes, we have Inside the Ballot Box after this break.
New NHT loans now in effect, up to 9 million for individuals and as high as 23 million for co-applicants, making home ownership more accessible for Jamaicans. We are building Jamaica.
The time by the office of the Prime Minister is...
It's 7:12.
GPS. Keep it cool, keep it cool. Summertime hot, but we have all the tools. Keep it cool, keep it cool.
Enough ways to see it, you just have to choose. Stay out of the fridge, just use a igloo. Remember your Kisco ice handy juice.
If an AC combo, yeah, I hit that. AC for a bit, then a fan after that. Keep it cool, keep it cool.
This summer JPS have all the tools.
Keep you cool with JPS. Download the JPS app today.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
All roads lead to the JLP Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. at Sam Shop Square. Come hear from JLP champions Dr. Horace Chang, Ed Bartlett, Darrell Vaz, Dr. Christopherson Floyd Green, Homer Davis, Marlene Malahoo Ford, Heroy Clark, Fable Williams, Camina Johnson Smith, and others. Main address comes from Prime Minister and Party Leader Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Jamaica Labour Party doing more for you. Mass Rally this Sunday, 4 p.m. Sam Shop Square. We choose Jamaica. X beside the bell. See you there.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
You're listening to Inside the Ballot Box on Nationwide 90 FM as we cover the 2025 general elections. It's the race to 32. On today's episode of Inside the Ballot Box, Cliff will be looking at international observers being admitted to observe voting inside polling stations in Jamaica.
PNP government has no plan.
The whole communist charge is really a trumped up thing that is used to try to justify and excuse violence and attempt to sort of upset and confuse people. It's worse than just dishonest. It is really quite vicious.
Independent international observers were admitted to observe voting inside polling stations in Jamaica for the first time in the general elections of 1997. Yes, 1997 was the first election we had international observers led by people from the late Jimmy Carter Center out of the United States of America. They came in and they observed the poll. And 1997 is significant. In a previous program, I told you that 1980 was the worst year for us in terms of our electoral management history. We killed close to 1,000 Jamaicans. We maimed other people. The system was abused and it went down a precipice. And luckily, the two parties found the will and capacity to establish the Electoral Advisory Committee to depoliticize the management of elections in Jamaica. And the EAC was the start of the recovery. It was the start of the maturing of electoral management affairs in Jamaica, because it had representation from the two major political parties. So that was the 1980 general election. But the system was so rotten and abused, and I use the example of the political party in parties in a constituency effectively ran the system on election day. In several constituencies, the presiding officers, the poll clerks, were from either of the two major political parties. So they manipulated, they controlled the system. And that is why you had so much accusations that were pretty well proven of bogus voting in Jamaican elections. With the advent of the EAC and the ECJ later, that started to wane. And by 93, there were a lot of complaints, but things had started to improve. To the point that by 1997, I think Jamaica felt more comfortable, in having international observers come in, because we had a system, that wasn't perfect, but was on the mend. And the international observers came and they said, largely, except for some incidents, the elections were peaceful, free and fair, one man, one woman, one vote. So that was the backstory to the 1997 elections and observers. And that was very significant because since then, Jamaica has only been getting better and better at running elections. So much so that all people at the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the commissioners, their staff, are invited to come and observe and run elections in other countries. Yes, that is now a success story of post-independent Jamaica.
What's the record of third-party candidates in general elections in Jamaica?
The first election of 1944, that was the best election for independent candidates in Jamaica. And since that election, we have had 18 contested or uncontested elections. And independent candidates have never done better than they did in that first election of 1944. We have had, by my check, more than 24 third parties, fourth parties, coming on the scene and dying rather quickly in Jamaica, contesting elections. But the one I think that has made the greatest impact on Jamaican politics in the modern era is definitely the National Democratic Movement.
Who were some of the most prominent members of the National Democratic Movement?
The National Democratic Movement, NDM, was started by the former chairman of the Jamaica Labour Party, Bruce Golding, in 1995, after he walked out of Edward Seaga's Jamaica Labour Party the previous year. He was upset, like so many Labourites, that Mr. Seaga was holding on for far too long. The party was no longer electorally viable. It was felt that he could not win another general election. The party was bitterly divided. It had a main gang of 11, Western gang, Western 11, and it was just falling apart. And Bruce Golding walked out of the Labour Party and championed constitutional and political reform to save the Jamaican democracy. And he set up the National Democratic Movement at a time when P.J. Patterson had by then assumed elected leader, president of the People's National Party, and was into his first full term as PNP president and prime minister. And there was a sense in the country that we were adrift. Yes, talk about corruption now. Corruption was a huge issue. We had a stagnant economy. We had social issues that were just fraying at the fringes of the national fabric of the society. And Bruce Golding and several other Jamaicans, prominent Jamaicans, Wayne Chen, even the now late PNP stalwart, radical, D.K. Duncan flirted with the NDM. Beverly Manley Anderson flirted with the NDM. We had people, some prominent Jamaicans. I can think of Godfrey Dyer in Western Jamaica, late Robert Russell, yes, Russell Hammond, who later became MP for Central Westmoreland. All of them went with Golding to the NDM. And there was a time when the Stone polls had the NDM winning the support, the popular support of more than 22% of the Jamaican public, saying if an election were called then, they would have voted for the NDM. This would have been 95, 96. Well, what happened? The NDM contested the 97 elections and failed to win a seat. Failed, not one seat. Bruce Golding himself, you don't get no more prominent with a higher profile than Bruce Golding. He was the president of the NDM. He contested Central St. Catherine, his former seat in the House of Representatives when he was in the Labour Party. And he was up against Babsy Grange. And he lost badly. And I think the failure of the NDM to do better, has spelled the death knell of third smaller parties in Jamaica. I don't expect to see, certainly not in my lifetime, a third party candidate winning enough votes to get a seat in the House of Representatives.
You've just heard Inside the Ballot Box on Nationwide 90 FM as we cover the 2025 general elections. It's the race to 32.
Escape to Idlewild in the grill where sand and serenity meet. Visit idlewild.com or call 876-957-3302. Idlewild and stay a while.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
You hear, say Nationwide back to school fair get pushed back to August 23?
What? Push back? Lord, man, me need ready for go Harmony Beach Park, you know.
Yeah, man, but them push it back to make it bigger and better. More vibes, more giveaways, and more things for everybody enjoy.
So tell me something. The book swaps still go on?
Yes, man. Still bring the books the kids don't need, and them can swap it for the ones them can use. Plus, them are gonna have health screening, school supplies to buy, banks and location, and enough giveaways.
Alright, me like the sound of that. But anything else I want?
Then no must. Me hear say them have domino tournament, scavenger hunt, and beer things for the whole family. So make sure you register.
Register? So how me have to go register now if we go in if it's free?
Because once you register, you automatically get entered to win the grand prize in the special raffle.
Me have to go call up some of my friends them cause we can't miss this. So tell me now, what the new date?
August 23, same place, Harmony Beach, Montego Bay, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nationwide 90 FM's Back to School Fair. Bigger, better, and full of vibes.
The NNN Back to School Fair is brought to you by KFC, Massey Distribution Jamaica Limited, Cozy Corner, Phoenix Vision Center, the Jamaica Public Service, the Jamaica Customs Agency, the Urban Development Corporation, Friends of the Mayor's Parlor, JTA Credit Union, Stewart's Automotive, J&J Pharmacy,
Hospiton, Budget Car Rental, Digicel Foundation, Sun Life Tours JA, Pop Fashion Limited, Charm West Limited, Discount Lumber and Hardware Limited, All American Institute of Medical Sciences, 876 Slushy Delight, C&WJ Cooperative Credit Union Limited, Pier 1 on the waterfront.
The University of Technology Jamaica Western Campus, MK Lux Events, Mark's Superstore, Deja All-Inclusive Resort, Henderson's Bookstore, The Comfy Girl Collection, Nation's Choice, Confectionery Snacks, Pizza Hut, JN Bank, and the iBoutique.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It is now about 30 minutes left to the program, and we're going to take your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Do we have our first caller on the line? Lloyd, good evening.
Good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Lloyd.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. First, I'd like to inform Mr. Hughes that he made a summary about election and election violence. And he said that election violence started in 1959. No, it started in 1949 when Bustamante had to vacate his seat in West Kingston and ran to Clarendon. Okay? So I'd just like to correct that. Now, several times I hear the PNP talking about the lead up to the country's financial position under Miss Simpson Miller and Peter Phillips. All right, give them that. But what is missing out of the conversation is that it was the first time that the PNP has ever given the Jamaica Labour Party an economy that was functioning to being better. And they must remember that they had to be supervised. The first time in history that a political party that was under the IMF was supervised by two bodies. Epoch plus the IMF too. That's why when the finance minister, the present one, said that they were like on a bicycle with two balance wheels. She was right, but she should have elaborated more to say that it was the Epoch and the IMF that will make the picture clearer. Because guess what happened, Siobhan and Sanjay? If you give a tradesman a job to do, and that tradesman can be left alone, and you are sure that he's going to do a good job, it is different from a tradesman who has to be supervised. So the PNP must get on their high horse, because if they weren't supervised, I don't think they could do the job that they had done.
You don't think that they would be fiscally disciplined had the IMF not been there to guide them?
No, because it has been proven. It is not something that would be new. It has been proven over time. 62 to 72, the economy was growing. The PNP took over everything. 80 to 89, the JLP again tried to rescue and did over to them in 1989. It was even worse. Remember, in the 90s, Mr. Patterson said Bob Tata to them, because they didn't want to be supervised. And Jamaicans can see what happened to us. 100 billion being paid out for nothing. Nothing. That money, if it hadn't been paid out on treasury bills, you can imagine what our country would be like today, because it wasn't paid out to do nothing that was productive. It was just paid out because people who had the strength of cash and could invest in the treasury bill, they got a handsome return on their money. Nothing productive.
All right, Lloyd.
Nothing.
That's a good history lesson.
Thank you, Lloyd. Well said.
All the best.
Carl, good evening.
Evening, Ricardo. Sorry about that, man. I'm here, Ricardo there. Anyhow, Sanjay?
Yes, man, I'm hearing you.
I want to ask you a few questions. You think tonight after your question night. When you come up in Jamaica, I used to hear about over a weekend, 27 somebody gets slaughtered by the hands of gun. 31, 29. You didn't expect say you'd live to see. You hear about a 43 reduction in a crime in Jamaica?
No, I said it yesterday. I said that I never expected in my lifetime to say that we see over 40% reduction in crime. I said it just yesterday.
I will not say time, sir. Can you tell me how is government in office?
Come on, man, the JLP.
All right. Do you remember when time the Prime Minister did I tell you, say, in declare the state of emergency to clear the areas them and the whole heap of laba and the quarreling where the opposition keep up.
Mm-hmm.
You see fruits now, though.
Yeah, there. As I've said before, there's a very clear strategy, policy-wise from the government and operational-wise from the JCF, that we're seeing the results now. Yeah, and we have to commend both the administration from the policy perspective and providing the necessary financing, and also the JCF for the hard work that they have done.
Because you know what the Prime Minister was doing when time he had declared the whole of a state of emergency? He made the person them who create mayhem can't second. Because they don't know if they even run from Montego Bay and run to Spanish Town, they don't know if a desert will drop.
Mm-hmm.
So they cannot be second. Anyhow, anywhere you go over a weekend as a Saturday, try and reach back home that you glued to your television Saturday night. It will be a farmer persecution. Person will be there, Pernell Charles, Jonah, Matthew Samuda, and Camilla Johnson Smith. All them big words where Price use will be nothing Saturday night.
They can't take it away from him doing that. Raymond Price, he knows how to get on their skin in a good day.
I understand you. But Saturday night will be the night. It will show your boys from baby.
All right, Carl.
Let me tell you something. Pernell, I have to deal with him almost 5.5 years now. Not an easy man to deal with when he comes on. How he will try to broaden out things and tell you. Let me tell you something. You see, if Pernell decides, say, him organize and work for run, you can go to Pernell and tell him, say, yeah, a few people, he will tell you, say, no, that's not how I operate. Don't come to me with that. Straight him, I tell you, after that. I tell you, say, do not come to me with that. So all who did I run from George, Tana, and Ricardo, buck up in a brick wall Saturday night. Face up to that. Face up to Pernell. Face up to Matthew Samuda. I have a lot of privilege talking to Matthew Samuda, I must say 2 times. But Camilla Johnson Smith, I met her in a beating more than 1 time. But I know Pernell. So, all who did I run from 3 journalists, buck up in Iraq Saturday night. Getting yourself ready, Jamaica. If you view Pernell Charles Jonah. I mean, here you ask me about how Southeast Clarendon. You ask other people. Stick me off already?
Wasn't it that Ricardo asked you about? Was it yesterday that Ricardo asked you about it?
No.
Or last week?
No, sorry, Ricardo. 1 time, Ricardo. Stick me off already?
No, so what's happening down there?
A $1 trillion person did down here and get a fine ass in less than 6 months. A by-election first and then a general. And she get a fine ass and she run. So, whosoever may I go up, they may type of politics that are going in Southeast Clarendon, it's not even enticing them. Because you have to call it so we don't have nobody around against. The person don't have no money. When time don't come the day, it kind of enticed.
It was a match-up.
It was a match-up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one night, I don't go, but I said that. Remember one night, and Pernell didn't want to meet, and Pernell said something, and I said, oh, you turn up good then, man. And she said, Farmer, you love people. Now what I watch them with them shield. Me no papa.
Right.
And me remember, she come and she couldn't do nothing. She come out of my gate and tell me say she a beat me. Me tell her, say, all the day I vote in the Outai Baptist Church, she come out with 1 bag of excitement today. You have to get beat me. You have to get beat me. Me tell her, me say, Miss Duncan, you can't beat me. You can't beat me. No time. But me I ask Pernell, he caretaker down in Manchester there, where I go up. I ask me if I have 1 hour, then what me down there in Haveland, but me have to go ask Pernell first.
Oh.
To get permission from him. We want to get rid of nickel. Time come. That's what time come for. Take a drive and see how nickel handle that constituency down there. You don't need to go down there and look.
All right. Thank you, Carl.
Look, all right.
All the best.
Richie, good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan.
Good evening, sir.
Sanjay.
How you do, Richie?
Look good, man. How you?
Boy, then I watch as the days, you know. We count down to September 3.
But you don't know what happened now. For me, you know, I say it raised down to 32. But me, I say it raises down for 49. I'm more than what in 50 years ago.
Oh.
You hear me?
Well, we say that because you need any party that wins has to get at least 32 seats.
You are saying that, I know, but I'm saying, I'm not saying that.
Oh, you're focusing on more.
49, and I
see.
want to know how much the PMP seats we're going to take.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
I
saying I want to know from 49 to 50, so I want to know which seats I'm going to. The question I'm asking.
So you think that the JLP is going to increase their lead?
Of course, they will. But hear me now. Daddy Phillips, this seat, is it one of the guarantees?
It's a safe PNP seat. It's considered a safe PNP seat.
No, and that's not the question I have. Is it one of the garrisons? You don't know.
No.
Okay.
That's Peter Phillips you're talking, right? No.
Yeah, man. So tell me something. When he win the election, how many votes did he win by?
The last election?
That I have to check. I don't remember.
I'm thinking it was less than 1,000 though. It was not a high number. It was less than 1,000 votes.
You see any seat that is less than 1,000 seats in the PMP, JP will be taking them. And I'm going to.
That is an ambitious expectation.
Yeah, but remember also in the last general election, you had a number of the comrades who just stayed home. They didn't come out and vote. They weren't energized.
And I'm going. That's where I'm going now. And this time it will be even more. And I'm going to why. A lot of them saying that Lisa is the one who should be leaving the party, and they're not voting. You know, so yesterday, it was yesterday, I went about town and I see a lady for the first time. We had some green bankers, and so we already said bankers, and if I was there with the third term. If we said third term, the lady said third term straight. Yesterday, I sit down in a group of with 9 PMP men. And them say we're not no vote. Him say, what them say we can't win election. So I say them vote, you man say them vote, if them vote, they would attack. So I'm saying the amount of PMP people that is streaming to the JLP right now is unbelievable. When I say it's unbelievable, so I'm saying you see the marginal seats that the PMP have.
You have your
between, huh?
No, Richie. I think you have your expectations, Richie. But I don't think a contest this close, one should expect anybody to end September 3 with a margin of over 40. I just think that is a serious expectation.
I'm going to tell you something. You know how the PMP win most of the seats in those days? Back in those days, when they win those seats, it's like more PMP voters vote more than what name was on voters list. And those voters illegal, they can't come back anymore. That's why you see.
Yeah, but Richie, you have to remember. Yeah, and I'm happy that we've passed those days with the electoral reform that we have had over the number of years. But outside of that, remember the last general election, we had a set of comrades who were just not energized. Regardless of what you want to think, the party is way more energized than the last general election. So I don't, and the polls are showing that it's going to be close. I don't see the party running away with 49 or 50 seats. I don't see that.
You talk about Don Anderson poll? We're not talking about Don Anderson poll.
But even if you preclude Don Anderson poll, Richie, even Blue Dot poll would not suggest a margin as high as 50 seats.
Listen to me. You see polls? There's a snapshot, you know.
Of course.
I'm not disagreeing with Richie, but I think based on what you see on the ground, disregard the polls, what you see on the ground in terms of both the JLP and PNP camp, in terms of the energy, it is going to be a very close run election. I don't see a party running away with it.
Siobhan, you all bet some money.
But I don't even know what I would be betting. That it's going to be close or going to be a runaway. But I will bet you it's not going to be a runaway election for any party.
Listen me.
I can't give you a specific number, but I can't see that number going over 40.
Listen me. We're going over there because they can't take one of JLPC. Never. None of them can take it.
Richie, you can't say that with seats like Central Kingston, really?
Central Kingston?
Central Kingston, Central Westmoreland, Westmoreland Eastern, Westmoreland Western. Those seats are up for grabs, of course. Come on.
That's what I believe.
Okay.
You don't
think that there will be a strong contest in Westmoreland?
Who's going to go down there, go do it? Who's going to the final PMP is going to go?
No, but you already, the seats that I mentioned, they are seats that are closely tied, especially in Westmoreland, to the People's National Party. I am not saying that the PNP will... hold on now. I'm not saying that the PNP will flip the seats, but I'm saying it's going to be a contest.
The point I'm making to you is to those seats that you're thinking about PNP stronghold, they win those seats illegally.
I can't speak to that.
No,
Richie, I can't speak to that claim.
Listen now, when I said back in those days, how Cliff was unbelievable.
No, but we're talking more recent elections. We're talking like 2007 going up, Richie. I don't think it would be a fair claim to suggest those seats were won illegally, as you would put forward. But even then, Richie.
Because that's a PMP support that did not come out because they're not satisfied with the party.
Mm.
And more this time not coming out because they still were satisfied with the party.
All right,
Richie, didn't you say that Harris was going to win the presidential election?
Oh?
Didn't you say that Harris was going to win the presidential elections in the United States?
I does not support she because the believe in homosexual living.
No, but hold on, man. You had predicted that she would have won the elections, correct?
No. I
you didn't?
I would not vote for she because they believe in abortion law and the homosexual, and I don't believe in it. So I said if I was in America, I would vote for Trump because they're two evils.
All right, Richie. I mean, I hope you are doing the work on the ground for your party, that you are this convinced of that sweeping victory, but keep up the work and we'll see what it works, how it comes up on September 3, all right? No, Richie. I can't tell you what your belief is, Richie, and you believe this strongly. Let us hope that faith is proven when it's September 3 come for your party. All right.
Anyway, my belief is facts.
All right, Richie. Thank you for the call. Courtney, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, Courtney.
Yeah, man. Yes, up, man. I was listening earlier to the JTA speaker, President.
Yes.
Yeah, and what did Randy Tweed say to the teachers in 2013?
Remind us.
I don't remember the word he said something. As
in relation to what though? So I probably can get some context.
When the teachers, they were negotiating, and I believe he said the word he used was telling them to find another job.
I don't recall that.
Well, you can look it up. It was in 2013. Ronnie Tweets and the teacher then. I can't put the word in my mouth, but I can't call it out. But you can look it up still. And the next thing I want to talk about is the crime rate that is going down, and this tragedy that the government used. I believe the Zozos they played an important part in the result that we are receiving now. Because prior to the Zozos, we couldn't put a face to most of the criminals. If you remember, most of the time before Zozo, when the police were putting out wanted men, they either only had aliases or they didn't have a face to go with the alias. So I believe what they did when they did the Zozos and they were arresting and taking up and they were getting fingerprints and putting faces to names and such the like. Fast forward to today, when a person become wanted, they have that face and that name. And furthermore, the forensic lab that was built, they now can put DNA to people because they have that database to match the criminals to or the crime to. If you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we're going to be seeing a further reduction in crime when it coming down to the ending of this year, going into next year. It's going to be even just more drastical.
I don't know if I support that view. I can't see year on year 40% being maintained. I think it's going to probably drop to like 20% in the next year and then probably down to 10%. I just know it would be impressive and I would definitely say that would be an amazing feat. But to maintain a 40% upon 40% reduction in terms of statistically, that is very difficult to do.
Listen to me. None of us last year this time thought we would be experiencing a 40% decline in crime. Today.
Agreed. But
today,
that would be one serious, because you'd have to increase the rate of reduction, in order to.
It's going to happen because it's going to happen because the lower crime rate we have, the more investors we have. The more investors we have, the better the economy will be and will grow. And that's a reality.
People on YouTube try to call me pessimistic, but I'm just saying, I'm somebody who respects statistics and how statistics flow, and it is really difficult to build upon in terms of maintaining that kind of momentum and reduction in any statistic where you're going from 40% year on year. That is quite an achievement. If it is done, I will be the first to eat my words.
And you can put me down on record as saying what I said before. I live in a garrison. I go from garrison to garrison. Nobody know, apart from a few people still out there creating their name. Nobody wants to see their faces or hear say, police are confident. Nobody. I mean, I'm telling you, to the ending of this year and going into next year, when after this, they will get this election out of the way and the country going back to operating on a normal. Crime is going to go down faster than even though it's going down now. I'm telling you.
I would love to be wrong on this one.
Yeah, you are wrong.
All right.
I'm going to be listening to the news and hearing you say a caller had called in and you said you would like to be wrong and you are standing where you are standing.
I'm saying I would love to see that it remains a 40% reduction by this point, 2026. If it is still there, I will come on and I will say it. I was wrong, and I am sorry that I was. I am willing to say that because to me that would be amazing and impressive for the country.
And I will be listening. Sir, I will be listening. And I agree with what Richie is saying. I agree totally with what Richie is saying. You know, I know you guys go with numbers and your polls and you know, but you have to.
You should have a little faith, is what you're saying. Have a little faith.
Mm. You have to be out here. You have to be out here. You have to be out here to really see and know what's taking place. You have to be amongst the labor rights and amongst the PNP. I don't mean just walk amongst them. I mean live amongst them. You see?
Before you go, though. Before you go.
1 minute. Let me just finish. PNP has done their own people so much wrong over so many years that the people know, the same PNP we are talking about whenever come out to vote, they know are not trusting the PMP in no way at all. Don't watch the crowd where you see come out, you know. The Jamaican people we are talking about. Let us remember who we are talking about. Jamaicans. These people will have you in their heart till they got engraved what you do to them.
All right.
Before you go, you will see it in the poll. You will see it in the poll.
Before you go, you hold on. Before you go, you asked us about the article. I found it. Ronald Thwaites indicated that teachers should reinvent themselves and market their skills in new ways.
Right. Reinvent. No. If this JTA president isn't disingenuine, along with whosoever is pushing behind him, I don't know what this genuine is, because this government has dealt with teachers, has dealt with public sectors. I am willing to go on record as saying that this government has dealt with public sector workers the best. And anybody who has question that can go do their research and bring forth the facts. Because I know there's no other facts than what I am speaking. This Andrew Holness-led government has dealt with teachers, nurses, public sector workers and a whole, right across the board. The best. I remember when they past election before 2016, each government that changes, most public sector workers would lose their work.
All right, thank you for the call. We have to wrap up. I mean, I'm looking at the statistics here, Sanjay, and right now we're at 422. That's a 43% reduction compared to 740 last year. So if this holds, we'll end 2025 at around 700 or so, 700 to 800 murders. That means in order to maintain a 40% at this point in time next year, we would have to have just over 200 murders. And I'm saying that would be amazing if that is possible. Statistically, it's so difficult to have that kind of momentum. But let me not put my foot in my mouth and say it's impossible, but I'm just saying statistically it is unlikely. But that's where we have to wrap it up, listeners and viewers. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to our super producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew the Glenn Boogs Anderson, as well as the very capable news and production department led by Cara Powell and Ricardo Brooks. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.
Track and Field's global showpiece heads back to Asia for its 2025 staging, the World Athletics Championships from Tokyo.